Kind of a rookie here with New Business Minnesota. So exciting to be out here for the first time, and hopefully you guys have been out here more than once and have seen some of these workshops, but excited to do this. I'll give you a little information on myself. My name is Creemen. I'm the founder and partner, managing partner of AccountSource. We started in 2004. I had 6 clients, and last year we had over 500. Now, 20% of those, about 100 of those are businesses. You know, we do individual taxes as well. So that's the majority of our clients. We focus on small, under 50 employees, and emerging businesses. Emerging businesses being, you may have 15, 20 employees, but you're at a high growth rate. You're really trying to ramp up. And so we work with you on how to budget and plan for the future. In that future, you could be doubling in size in 12 months. So we really work on those type of things. We offer payroll, accounting, taxes, you know, your typical accounting firm. And then we bundle those services and monthly fees to make budgeting easier for you too. So that's how we really try to help the small business owner. It seems that they always have trouble with budgeting, and so we want to help with that. I am an enrolled agent. I am not a CPA. Enrolled agents, what that allows us to do is we can practice before the IRS. So you get an IRS letter in the mail, you love those, I'm sure. We come and we can help you with the audit of that IRS audit. So we just can't do any financial audits like CPA firms can. My experience personally includes, I worked at the state of Minnesota in their finance department. Kind of see the bureaucracy that goes on there. Couldn't really take it, I had to kind of go. Private industry, I've been in a number of corporate, including services, contracting, and manufacturing. So I've been in those areas. What I really wanted to talk about today was the importance of planning for that new hire, or even if you have employees, planning for the future of more employees. And so I wanted to give you an overview of all of that. And there's really 2 kind of planning steps that I work with companies on. The first one is planning for all the requirements. The IRS comes to you, the state of Minnesota comes to you, they all want money. So we want to help you plan a budget for that. That's one of the big things we don't see employers do. They come out and they say, you know what, I hired an employee for $30,000. I put in my budget $30,000, but I didn't budget for all the other costs. And so we help you plan for that. You know, you've got your standard stuff, your Social Security, your Medicare. Employers have to pay unemployment for their employees, and that's 8% right off the top. So you're looking at a $30,000 employee. You've got to add 8% to that just to cover your requirements, and it could go as high as 15% or more. And that change depends on where your unemployment rate comes in. The state of Minnesota assigns you that unemployment rate. You can't negotiate it. It just is what it is. The other thing we see a lot of people do is deposits. They don't understand that when they withhold employee taxes, they have to make deposits. So you have to follow a schedule that the IRS gives it to you. You'll hear probably more about this later with the payroll segment. A lot of times you have to e-file everything now. You have to pay your deposits online. You can't send checks anymore. The IRS doesn't want your check. So if you have over certain dollar amounts, you have to do an e-file. And what we really want to do is try to avoid those penalties. The IRS takes that very seriously. Everybody's short money. They're trying to collect as much money as they can. If they can get it through penalties and fines, that's what they're going to do. And then obviously the tax filings. There's quarterly and annual tax filings that you have to do. Just make you aware of that. My example on the problems with running in the IRS and the state of Minnesota and those filing requirements, I had a clothing manufacturer come to me back in January. And she started her business in 2010. She was a single employer. She just hired 5 or 6 employees. She thought that was the right thing to do. She goes, I'm a business. I should have employees. I should be manufacturing. She made clothing for dance teams and ice skating, that type of thing. But it made her feel like a business if she had employees and people that are working. She didn't know anything about filing or deposits or anything. She goes, no, I pay them $10 an hour and they make my clothes for me. So when it came to the end of the year and I was looking over end of the year stuff, I said to her, you have employees here. I said, did you make all your deposits? Did you do all your filings? She goes, what are you talking about? I just have to do a tax return. I said, no. I said, we got to take those deposits, all that Social Security you took from those employees and your portion we have to give to the IRS. And it turned out she had about $5,000. And now she's a small business. She just started in 2010. She doesn't have a lot of money. She freaked out. She said, oh my God, how am I going to pay this? What am I going to do? And she doesn't have a lot of expendable cash. So I sat down with her. We went over her budget, looked at her, and I just said, here's what we need to do. Your business can't really support the number of employees you have. So either you have to ramp up sales or you have to drop employees. So she cut back on some of her employees. She does all her selling through these trade shows and stuff like that. She cut back on some trade shows, and that's how we were able to get her back within her budget to make sure that she's successful going forward. The other thing you have to look at is you have to plan for your business needs. Not just, you've got your regulatory requirements, you also have business needs. Office space. Do you need an office? Do you have an office? Is your office big enough? You have equipment, your employees, for them to work right, have to have computers, phones, all those type of things. Those are expenses that a lot of people go, okay, we need that, and they don't really budget for it. And they don't realize how expensive it can get. So you gotta really plan for that. You've got training. Now training may be a soft cost. Training may be you going through and training your employee, maybe somebody else training your employee. But there's a cost there. That cost is you're not out selling, you're training. And hopefully that reaps you rewards in the end. But you've got to plan for that. And you've got management costs. You've got to manage them. You've got to make sure they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. Those type of things. My example for this, I'll give you a little example on each one of these. I worked in a mortgage company back in 2002, 2003. Now, if you guys remember the industry back then, the mortgage industry, rates were really low. You could sell anything to anybody at any time. I mean, you could pull anybody off the street and do it. At least that's what all the owners thought, okay? So I worked at a mortgage company. I was the controller over there. I had 3 owners, didn't really like to listen, so I didn't work there anymore, I left. But they had lots of office space. They owned this office building, and at 2 levels, no other tenants in there. They're the only people, okay? They bought this for future expansion. And they had, at the time that I started, they had 12 employees. So 12 employees, $1.2 million they were doing. Pretty good ratio per employee, but they had this huge office building, and the owner came to me and he said, we're going to fill this whole office building with people, because anybody can sell a mortgage nowadays. Rates are at 3.5%, we could do this all day. You could buy a loan that's a negative annual. You don't even have to pay your interest on your loan anymore. You can pay less than the interest. So everybody, he said, we're going to fill this whole thing. I said, that's a terrible idea. He said, no, we're going to do it anyway. So we did. He hired 100 employees. Now this is a little extreme, I understand, but he hired 100 employees to do this. I couldn't find 30 qualified mortgage loan officers at that time period, much less 100. So he hires all these employees. He says, don't worry, they don't cost anything. They're commission, straight commission. They only make money when we make money. I said, no, that's not true. He said, but that's the way it is. So what does he do? He goes out and he buys furniture, he gets phones, he gets all the, you have to, we had like a cloud-based service, so you have to pay for that. All of a sudden, he's paying $10,000 a month just for furniture, leasing furniture. And the owners are now managing all these employees. These 3 owners that they were doing the majority of the loans. They're now training these employees, they're managing them, trying to figure out why they're not showing up for work, why they're not selling loans, and they're not selling themselves. So now the revenue's going down. Well, guess what happened a year later? They're out of business. They didn't know what to do. They said, why did this happen? And I looked at them and I said, look, you hire 75 people, and now you're taking away from your money, you're hiring 100 people. So those are the things you have to think about when you're hiring employees. Now again, this is a little extreme, but you kind of get the idea of the situation. So the key to successful planning is know why you're hiring that employee. Don't just hire an employee to hire an employee. Know what their purpose is, how it's going to help you. How by them being there is going to help you increase your sales or do what you do more efficiently. Okay? Is why you're hiring, is it just a temporary business increase? Or is it sustained growth? If it's just a temporary business increase, maybe you don't want to hire an employee, maybe you want to hire a contractor. Maybe you want to hire from a temp agency. There's all these different ideas behind that. Versus sustained growth. If you see that increase going a long time, maybe it is time to hire. The most important thing, and I can say this till I'm blue in the face, is a business plan. You have to know where your business is going. If you don't know where it's going, it's hard to plan for the future. And so by having a business plan, your bankers love it,